In this week's Photoshop Friday, we're going to be making a welcome sign for a cottage wedding theme. Now, one of my dear friends is having a wedding in December or November, and I am busy making all of her printables for her wedding, and I thought it would be a great idea to share with you guys how to make a welcome sign for a wedding. Now, the templates for this particular tutorial I'll be giving to you. This will be a 36-inch by 24-inch size sign, but the actual mock-up you will find in the resources guide where to purchase those from. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, in today's tutorial I'm going to be using the welcome font and the Arial font, but in no, it won't be in bold, it will just be in normal regular font. Once again, refer to the resource guide, and I have all the clickable links to where you can locate these fonts. Some of them are free and some of them are not free, so feel free to check those out. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in our clip art that we're going to be using. Okay, so I am in my clip art folder that I will be using. If we scroll further down, and I will be doing almost like a cottagey welcome sign for a wedding. Okay, and there's a few different designs that I'm wanting to go with, and I'm going to click on to say, let's go with this one, this one, this one, this one, and a few petals. I think let's go with you. Okay, so once you have selected all the clip art you're wanting to use, all you need to do is click and drag it into your canvas. Okay, and to place it, all you need to do is hit the enter button, and it will start to bring in all the clip art one by one, and you just hit enter until you have placed them all in. Okay, so I think that's all the clip art that I am wanting to use, and I like to just space them out so that I know exactly what clip art I have got going on here. And that one there. So let's just bring in you two. Okay, so once you've dragged in your clip art, it's just a matter of now placing it where you're wanting it. So I'm going to use this as my centerpiece, but as like the center flower, but I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Photoshop, to make it larger, all you need to do is hit Control or Command if you've got a Mac, and T for Tango. And all we're going to do is hit the Shift key, and I'm just going to click, and I'm just going to drag it out until I have it to the size I want. By holding the Shift key, it keeps the proportion of your image. And once you're happy with it, all you need to do is hit enter. All right, but I'm not going to hit enter because I actually want to rotate it. So keep it in the transform mode, and I'm just going to make sure that my cursor has got the double arrows on either side, and I'm just going to click, and I'm just going to rotate that right around like that. Okay, and then once I'm happy, I'm just going to hit enter, and I'm just going to click and drag that to the center. Now, if you're not too familiar of where exactly is the center, all you need to do is make sure that you have clicked onto the layer that you are using. And I'm just going to go over here to the Marquee Tool, and I'm just going to click and go from the one side to the other side of the canvas, anywhere on there, but it has to be from left to right because I want to make sure that this is in the center from the left to the right. Click onto our select tool and click onto this button here, which is your align horizontal center, and it has now flipped it or moved it to exactly in the center of my canvas. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to hit Control or Command D for Delta, and it's going to remove those marching ants. Okay, and then let's keep adding our design. So I'm wanting to place these little flowers on either side. So I'm just going to click Control T again, and I'm just going to hit the Shift key and drag it out. And I'm just going to rotate that to about there. And let's move you. Okay, I'm not liking that, so let's just make that go further out about there. Hit enter, and let's drag you. Let's drag you about there. I might actually make you slightly a bit bigger. Okay, and hit enter. Now I'm wanting the exact same design on this side, so all you need to do is to click onto that layer. So click onto the clipboard here, or click onto your layer, and you're just going to click and you're just going to drag it on top of this little notepad. Okay, and now that has copied it on top of the original clipboard that you have copied or duplicated. Or the other short or the keyboard shortcode for that is Control and J for Jenny. Okay, so let's click onto that, and I'm just going to bring it to the side, but I'm wanting to rotate it to so that those blue petals are facing in the opposite direction. So to do that, all I need to do is make sure you clicked onto that layer, hit edit, transform, and I'm going to flip horizontally. Okay, and then I'm just going to move you slightly bit out, like so. Okay, so I'm liking how that is looking, and now I'm just going to add in a few different petals and flowers in between to fill up these spaces. Now there is one clipboard that I'm wanting to add to it, and that was this one here. So I'm just going to drag you in. Okay, let's just bring you. And I just want to duplicate that. Hit the Shift key and drag it across so it's staying in the same line. And then all I'm going to do is hit Edit, Transform, Horizontal, and it's going to flip that the other way. Okay, and there we go. Alright, now it's just a matter of adding in a few little extra goodies. So I'm going to add you in, and I am going to hit Control T, and I'm just going to make you about there, and I'm just going to drag you further out and hit enter, and let's drag you about there. And I want to do the same thing on the other side. So what do we need to do? We just need to duplicate that layer, hold the Shift key, drag it out, and I'm just going to hit edit, transform, horizontal, and it's going to flip it. There we go. But I need to bring you further in to about there. Yeah, that works pretty well. Okay, and then let's add in a little bit of our leaves. So I'm just going to hit Control T again. So if you haven't noticed, it's the same techniques you're doing for pretty much everything, and that is Control T, or you're duplicating something, or you're rotating it. It's all the same stuff over and over again. Alright, so I'm just going to hit enter, and I'm going to drag, whoopsie, click you, and I'm going to, what's happening? Alright, if you've done an error, all you need to do is go over here, and we're just going to hit the previous history, which was this one here. Okay, and it brings it back. Alright, or you can hit Control Z and it changes, goes back to the previous settings that you did. Alright, so let's just click onto you by yourself, and I want to click and drag you out to about there, but I'm wanting this one to be underneath this clip art. So I'm just going to click and drag you until I get to the very bottom. Okay, and let's just make you about there. Alright, and let's duplicate that. Remember, it's on top of that layer. There it is there. Hit edit, transform, flip horizontally. Computer's running a bit slow today. Okay, there it is there, and just hit shift and drag you out to about there. Okay, and then I'm now just going to take this little guy here, hit Control T, and I'm just going to make this one a little bit smaller. And let's see if you can fit you somewhere. You can almost have it maybe coming out of, maybe have it coming out on this side. That will look quite cute, but let's just click and drag you all the way down. Okay, and hit that one, and let's duplicate that one and bring you, I don't know why it keeps doing that, click onto that one again, let's drag you out, there it is there, edit, transform, horizontal, there it is there, and you can just use your arrow key on your keyboard too to kind of maneuver it if you can't get a hold of it. Okay, to about there. Alright, I'm liking how that looks, and I quite like how you've got a little bit of the white background behind it too, so it doesn't look too like cluttered. Alright, so this one here I'm not going to worry about, so I'm going to click and I'm going to delete that one. And this little guy here, I'm actually going to hit Control T, and I am going to enlarge you to about there. Make sure you're in the center. And bring you slightly bit up. Okay, but what I'm going to do with this one is I'm actually going to go over here where it says the opacity, and I'm actually going to make that really transparent to about there. Okay, and now all we need to do is add in our text or our font or our type tool, whichever one you want to call it. And to do that, all we need to do is once again add a layer. So just make sure that that's selected. Okay, so add our layer and go over here to your type tool in the toolbar. Click onto that. I just call it the text tool because it's just easier to remember. Okay, so now it's brought up everything over here. All I'm going to do is find the font that I'll be using, and it's actually called Welcome. So once again, check the resource list that I provide you guys. That has a link to where you can download this font for free. And I am just going to change this to black and hit enter. Sorry, no, hit enter, hit OK. And I'm just going to click anywhere on the canvas, and I'm just going to start typing welcome. Now it's very small, of course, but let's just do that. I'm just going to hit the select tool or the move tool. I'm just going to hit Control and T, and I'm just going to drag it out. Now you can either drag it out like that, like you do with everything else to enlarge, and once you're ready, just hit the enter key. Or the other option is making sure obviously your layer is selected. You clicked onto the type tool or text tool, and you go over here and then you just enter in the number you want. Okay, so I might just change this to say, yeah, okay, and I'm just going to move you to the top. And all I'm going to do now is make sure that this is in the center from left to right. And how do we do that? We go over here to our Marquee Tool. Okay, obviously make sure that that layer is selected. We go to the Marquee Tool. I'm wanting to find out the center between left to right. So I just click and I drag it across to the other side. Hit the Select Tool, and I'm just going to hit this little button over here and hit that one. And there we go. It was kind of in the center already anyhow. And then I'm just going to hit Control D for Delta. And that removes the marching ants. So that is a great way to show you from to gauge between left to right where the middle or the center is. Okay, so I'm kind of liking where that is. There might be, I might just move it slightly bit up to about there. Okay, and now I'm just going to enter in the rest. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate that layer, and to duplicate it, all you need to do is click onto your layer that you want to duplicate, click and drag it on top of the notepad and hit and release. Okay, and there it is there. So all I'm going to do is, now obviously your layer is on top of that, so all I'm going to do is click and I'm going to drag that away. And I'm just wanting to go over here and I'm going to highlight all of that, and I'm wanting to just change it to something else. So I'm going to change it to Casey and David. Okay, and I obviously don't want it that big, so I'm just going to hit Control T, and I'm just going to click and drag that down, holding the Shift key because that keeps it in proportion. Just drag you all the way down until I'm happy. All right, and then I'm just going to bring you back. I don't know why it keeps making it bigger and smaller. I did update my latest Photoshop software, and it's doing all funny things. So, yeah. Well. Okay, so now I don't like the way that this and this is too far apart. Now I can go here and I can just make sure that that can do that, but then that is in the way. So I might just go over here to my characters tool, and if you don't have the characters icon sitting over here, all you need to do is go to Windows and click onto characters and it'll bring it up. Alright, so all I want to do is make sure that there isn't such a large gap. And so how do we do that? We click onto this VA with the arrows pointing left and right. And I'm just going to hit the minus sign, and it drags it a little bit further in. Let's just drag it in a little more. And let's just try one more. Okay, I'm happy with that. So, okay, now I just want to add in the date and to our wedding. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm just going to add an extra layer. So let's just add another layer. There it is there. Go back to our type tool or text tool, and I'm actually just going to use a font that is Arial. There it is there. Okay, and I might just make this slightly a bit bigger. Let's just go to, say, 300 for now. Okay, and I need to, oopsie, it's just, let's just, sorry, I'm just going to bring this further down so that it doesn't interfere with that. Go back to this layer, click onto the type, and I am going to use Arial, which I think comes standard with Photoshop. Okay, and I am just going to make this, say, 300. And click over here, and it's going to be to, I might do this in caps, to our wedding, and hit the select tool. Let's bring you in here, and I'm going to make this a lot smaller because that is just way too big for my liking. And hit enter, and let's just place you in the middle by going here, 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 and there. You get used to all of these different shortboard key codes, you can never say it, keyboard shortcuts. Now that's still probably a bit too big, so let's just make it a slightly bit smaller. So let's just drag you down to about there, hit enter, and let's just move you into the center again. Okay. Alright, and then let's just pop you back in there. Okay, this is fine. I might just make you a little bit bigger. So at the end of the day, you want to see the bride's name. Okay, about there. I want to make you, so I can either click here or I can click on the actual font, and I'm just going to use my arrow key, and I'm just going to move that slightly a bit up like so. I'm liking where it's going, but I'm just going to click onto you again, and I'm duplicating that layer, dragging it down, and I'm wanting to change the date to the 7th. And then all I'm going to do is hit Control T again, and I'm just going to drag this and make this a lot smaller. And hit enter. And let's just position it that it's in the middle to about there. Yep, okay, so I'm happy with how that is looking. I think, yep, I wouldn't add anything more to it. Just trying to think if anything else. No, I'm happy with that. Now, let's go ahead and save this. So pretend that you are saving this for a customer. What do? All right, first thing we're going to do is I like to save my work. So all I need to do is go File, Save As. And I'm just going to keep it as that, but you obviously put it to whatever you want to put it at. And then keep it as a Photoshop file, all right? And hit save. And yep, I'm just wanting to save over it. Okay, so now that I've saved my template in Photoshop, now I want to save it as a PDF file that I'm going to be giving to my customer. So all we need to do is we need to group all the layers together. So we go File, go all the way down until you get to Flatten Image. And what you'll notice is all of these layers will all become one layer. So let's group that together, and there we go. So it has flattened the image. Okay, so now it's one whole layer. Now you're going to go File, Save As, and you're going to save this as a PDF, and then you pop in there whatever it is, wedding sign, I don't know, whatever you want to put, and then you would hit save. Okay, and then what's going to happen now is it's going to pop up a screen like this, and you're going to untick that and untick that, and you're going to hit save PDF. And on the bottom over here, I don't know if you can see it because of my recording, but it will start to save, and you wait until that gets to 100%, and then you're good. Okay, so now it's done. Now that you've done that, we're going to keep it as grouped for now, and we're just going to do our mock-up. But when we go back to close this file, you need to remember to ungroup it and save it again as a PSD file. Okay, because if you don't, it's going to save. Like if I went ahead now, let's just ungroup it. So let's go to history, and let's go to the previous layer, and it's brought up all of my my layers back. Okay, now if I went ahead and went File, Save As, it's going to save it as a PDF file. So it automatically, anything you save as a PDF file, even though I've already saved it as a Photoshop file, it's going to start saving it as a PDF file. So please, 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 please remember to double check that the file you're saving it as when you are closing it is a PSD file. All right. And then you just obviously change it to the correct file name that it was and hit save and hit yes. Okay, that way you know that you have saved it correctly. All right, now let's just go ahead and flatten the image again like we were. We're going to go ahead and find our mock-up for this design. Okay, so once you have downloaded your mock-up, it will look something like this. Okay, so I give you the option of having one that is a landscape, sorry, apologies, a portrait size, a landscape size, and then if you have a look here, I have got two different types of easels, a black one and a wooden design too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep with the wooden design. All right, now if you do go ahead and wanting to use the black one, for instance, just remember to just drag your template so that it actually looks like it is appearing on, leaning on the easel. Okay, so let me just go back a step. Okay, and I'm just going to close you and have you on. All right, so remember that our template is grouped together. It's flattened. And all we're going to do now is you're going to double click onto one of these one of those little square icons, okay, and that is going to be where we're going to be putting our file, and this is obviously our mock-up. So let's just double click onto that, and there it is. I'm just going to zoom out, and zoom out is control and the minus sign. All right, and I'm just going to go back to my template, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that onto the image that we've just opened up, which is the rectangle. All right, and I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more, and you'll notice that the actual file is a large file. And yes, it is a large file because it was like 36 inches by 24 inches, whatever it is that we made it to. Okay, so we're going to hit Control T, and I'm just going to find where the ends meet, and I'm going to hit Control, and I am just going to reduce the size that. Reduce. All right, and then I'm just going to drag you right into the middle, and let's just move you, and move you. Okay, and once I'm happy with that, I hit the Enter key. Okay, now all I'm going to do is hit File and Save and watch what happens. Once we've done that, we click over here, and it has now made our mock-up. So obviously the background is a transparent background. Now you can either add some sort of background behind it so that it gives it more of a realistic type of look, or you can just leave it like that. It's up to you. Okay, you can either just click onto this button here, and it obviously has a background around it. Now you'll notice that it kind of looks wishy-washy, and what I like to do is give it a bit of an offset around it, and that offset then makes it stand out a little bit more, even if it's not even a white background. And the way I normally do that is by going over here, and I like to do an outer glow look, and it'll pop up. There it is there, and I'm just going to change this pop-up color to black. And have you noticed how it now has that little haze around it? And then you can obviously make it bigger or smaller. So let me just drag you further in. All right, so we want to make obviously the size a little bit more smaller. We can probably make that a little bit more darker, and let's just make you about, say, there. All right, I'm happy with that, and hit OK. And straight away that's popped out. How much better does that look once you popped it out and using like an outer glow? All right, so then what I would do is I would put my logo over here, and I would change the background. So when I mean by having some sort of background, I'll show you an example of something that I just found. Okay, so I'm just dragging in an image that I am using as an example. All right, this one here. So I'm just going to click, and I'm going to drag you and you out from there to there, and then I am just going to hit enter. This is just something I found. It's not good quality, but you will get the idea. So once you've found a background, just bring that to the back, and there is your design. Okay, so just some type of scenery also makes it look a little bit more realistic, so that you can just be like an added touch to your mock-ups. All right, but obviously something a little bit more better quality than what I've provided there, because it can. All right, so that is pretty much it on how to make your own wedding sign. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and you will give it a go, and you will share it with me over in the Facebook group. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. All right, thanks guys.